Hey, what's going on? Welcome. If you are new here, please subscribe, click the bell, ding the dong, bing the bong, all that good stuff. Thumb up the video, share to your social media, comment in the comment section after you're done watching this. I'll join you there. And also, thank you for channel members and thank you for becoming a channel member if you choose to do so after this video. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. And if you want to support the channel, besides becoming a channel member, you can also donate on Cash App, $Spade Parkland. And you can also donate with the super thanks that is located near the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And let's get into this. In a previous video, I said that the boy in white had kind of like a soldier stance, feet together, like in the position of attention, and was looking at him angry. And I think it's because the boy in white knows that Victor was not supposed to tell Miranda and indirectly the townspeople what he told Christopher, because by Victor relaying to his mom, Miranda, and everyone else hearing about the faraway tree, saving the children, this is how you can go home. It encouraged people, all the townspeople, to go into the faraway tree, fall from the sky. And while they're on the ground and they're like maimed, crippled, disabled, and all that, the creatures came, had their way with them. And the people were defenseless as far as being able to avoid damage or run away. And that's why they're all scattered on the ground like that. The boy in white, he's more than likely thinking, look what you did. You caused all of this. And that's why we have all of these people kind of like within a close proximity of each other, and nobody is in their normal hiding places. Everybody was trying to go home. Nobody was thinking that it was a trick or anything. And that's why Victor was alone for decades, just because everybody thought they were going home through the faraway tree and ended up falling from the sky, more than likely, and got taken out by the creatures. And that's why the shepherd dog is barking at Victor in an angry and aggressive manner, because the dog itself is saying, look what you did. You caused all of this. This is all your fault. And to a certain extent, it is. I mean, Victor had no way of knowing this was going to happen. It's not his fault because he was a kid. He's doing what kids do. To me, this is what the boy in white and the shepherd dog are basically communicating without verbally telling him. And people have said, oh, it's a Star Magic Hotel. Maybe the hotel was around back then. The creators have said the reason why the Star Magic Hotel sign is not there anymore is because this is in the past. And then 40 years later, through weather and time, the Star Magic Hotel sign gets destroyed. So there's that. And so as Victor follows the boy in white goes on the merry-go-round. And I think if Victor would have got on the merry-go-round when the boy in white was like, hey, come follow me, waving to Victor, saying, hey, come follow me, come here, come here, come here. I think the boy in white would have actually taken Victor outside of Fromville and just would have waited for the next generation of people to come. So if Victor would have got on the merry-go-round, he would have went home. That's what I'm thinking, because there would have been no purpose to bring him back. The boy in white would have taken Victor home, or at least outside of Fromville, and Victor would have had like a different life. Based off this logic, if Eloise, when chasing after her mom, was not unalived by a creature, she more than likely would have ran into the boy in white as well after hiding. And the boy in white, in my opinion, would have more than likely given Eloise the same option to go home. So if Eloise is alive, it wouldn't make sense for her to be outside of Fromville and has lived a normal life. But if she is in Fromville and she grew up there, maybe Eloise came into contact with other humans or some type of creatures that were maybe friendly, and maybe they kind of like raised her as their own, like a Jungle Book type of thing. I mean, Jay does mention to Henry, Victor's dad, that Victor is kind of like Tarzan. So it could have been kind of like a Jungle Book situation where maybe Eloise was raised in the forest. I mean, we don't know. I just don't really think it's likely that she would have survived on her own like Victor did without being in town and seen by Victor. So yeah, the boy in white, he's waving to Victor saying, hey, he's also saying, come follow me. Come on, come on, come on. And it must have been a situation where the boy in white, when he left, he couldn't come back Like maybe the boy in white can only come back during the beginning of a cycle when you got two vehicles coming into town. Because after Ethan arrived in town, the boy in white is being seen by Ethan, and the boy in white is just like staring at him, but not talking to Ethan. So it may be that the boy in white can only come back into Fromville during a cycle. And when a cycle is not going on, he's out there in the regular world, maybe scouting for whoever is going to be brought in the future, or maybe in the regular world waiting to see where Jade and Tabitha are going to be born, to somewhat orchestrate a way for them to be manipulated into being certain people, to bring them back into town. Kind of like a Lost reference where Jacob was scouting people and talking to them on the outside world. I wouldn't be surprised if the boy in white was the same way, where the boy in white has been manipulating Jade and Tabitha's lives each time they get reincarnated, so that they're in a particular place and time to be brought back in with the wormholes of From. So I think that with Victor and his drawings, the same way that Tabitha and Jade were trying to solve mysteries, I think Victor was in his own way. And that's the reason why he's been drawing all this stuff, to try to remember it, because he has been somewhat trying to solve mysteries and remember. And this is an illustration from Victor's point of view when he's a child of what he found in the town, where people are all scattered on the street, torn apart. I hope the show in the future addresses, since Victor did not bury these bodies, who buried the bodies? Was it like maybe people who came later on, they came and got the bodies and buried them or something? And more than likely was whenever adults did come into town, maybe Victor didn't see them, or they didn't see Victor, and they're the ones that got rid of the bodies as they started to occupy the town. It seems that maybe when Donna arrived to town, that's when Victor was maybe seen by Donna. Maybe Donna kind of warmed up to him, or he warmed up to her rather, and then became kind of like a mother figure to him or something, because no one else is really talking to Victor like Donna is. So I'm thinking that before Donna showed up and a lot of the other adults showed up, that Victor just kind of like saw people but didn't interact with them. Maybe they didn't interact with him, but maybe the future adults that came into town after this whole massacre, they're the ones that got rid of the bodies. Jim goes to Boyd and tells him that Victor has been drawing pictures for Ethan, which can seem kind of creepy. Okay, until you get to know Victor, it does seem kind of creepy, so I can kind of understand. And that Victor has a firearm in his lunchbox. Fatima has a surprise for Julie, and surprise! Julie knows the right people. She has friends in high places. She has moved from the couch to a room, and now she has a bed with Fatima and Ellis. She's moved up, y'all. And I think it's funny because Julie was just telling her mom, Tabitha, that she doesn't want to be treated like a child, yet they give her the child bed. Maybe that's all they had available. Fun fact, the director, Jack Bender, he's the one that created the mural, and it's got the hands of the creatures right there, and then kind of like Fatima and Ellis as Adam and Eve, and it's the town and everything. And one thing I thought that was interesting is that they have this large creature thing with this big mouth. I'm thinking that this could be it, or the entity, or the evil of From. And it's like, even though the creatures are coming to town every night to try to take you out, that the large evil entity that more than likely made the deal with the townspeople is like the big bad. Maybe this could be the man in yellow. I mean, who knows? So yeah, Julie's come up, y'all. No longer on a couch. She now has a room in the mansion. So she's living in luxury. She's moved on up. And so Fatima says there are no mistakes, just choices. You choose what is right for you, and that matters a lot. They give Julie a place to sleep in their room. She's moved up from the couch, and they give her a kid's bed. Okay. On the show, she's supposed to be a kid, 15 or 14-year-old, even though she's really 20 in real life. Fatima then gives her the sweater that Tabitha had brought earlier. And you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that it was basically saying, I'm your mama now. So in a way, Fatima and Ellis have adopted Julie. Julie's home amongst family. She's good. And she looks happy. Even though we know that later on, Julie's going to see Fatima kiss another woman. Fatima's going to say Ellis is her guy, but she's for the streets, okay?
These nuts.
So she's going to say that Ellis is her guy, but she gets around. And then Julie's going to ask for a kiss. And Fatima's going to be like, what? You're like my pseudo daughter now. And then Julie's going to run off. Not going to want to be a part of Colony House anymore. And we're getting ahead of ourselves. All right? Getting ahead of ourselves. But Fatima's saying, I'm your mama now. Boyd is getting ready for dinner with the Matthews to get to know them. After he's done buttoning up his shirt, this is what he does. Because he is losing his mind. Yeah, he's calm, cool, and collective on the outside, but inside, he's frustrated, he's stressed out, he doesn't know what to do. He's losing his mind. This is what he really feels, and the same way that Tabitha and Jim could use a therapist, Boyd could as well. He tried to have it with Father Kotry, but with Father Kotry, it wasn't really confiding him as a priest and getting therapeutic things or even a confidant. Father Kotry was more like adversarial and reminding Boyd of his role as a leader. And I think Father Kotry could have been therapeutic, but Boyd did not want to go to service. So Boyd was seeking Father Kotry's approval and validation, but didn't want to take on the religion and guidance part that helps a lot of people maintain hope. Because one thing I will say is that despite what you feel about religion, religion does give people hope. In a place like Fromville, people do need hope. They believe in Boyd as a leader to get them home, but they also need a hope aspect that something more powerful than them is on their side. And I think it was somewhat of a mistake for Boyd to not go to service and not connect with Father Kotry more than he could have versus trying to be adversarial with him. Because imagine if Boyd, as a leader, not only is he trying to help people get home and keep them safe and protect them and stuff, but imagine if he's at the religious service with Father Kotry where people can constantly see him and see that in addition to having hope in him, that they should also have hope in this higher power and they're working together. So I think that was a missed opportunity for Boyd. And when Father Kotry is no longer alive, I think people started to lose hope more because of the fact they didn't have anywhere as an outlet. Because you can't just walk up to Boyd and be like, hey, I'm going through this and going through that. Boyd's going to be like, get out of my face with that. I'm busy. But someone like Father Kotry would sit there and listen to people and give them reassurance, which is basically the whole point of religion or religious service, is to give people assurance and to kind of help people have inspiration to continue on with their day and their week. Boyd is crashing out. Crashing out. I understand, though. I understand. And so with him crashing out here, it helps him be calm, cool, and collective with the Matthews over here. All's good in the neighborhood. They're connecting a little bit. Normal couple stuff. They got their ups and downs, sideways and in between. But guess what? As Sara looks on at the Matthews, a happy family, it looks like this can't be the voices on Demon Radio. This has got to be maybe the man in the yellow suit, maybe it, the entity. This has got to be a different source as to why she's getting the message like this. She's in a whole bunch of pain. Yikes. That does look painful.
I didn't choose his life.
Sara gets Kill the Boy on her arm. It vanishes after she looks at Ethan. Sara then collapses and has a seizure. Boy rushes in to help. So the voices on Demon Radio normally communicate to Sara through telepathy. Same way that the boy in white communicated with her when she was out there in the woods with Boyd, episode 10 of season 1. So this communication was done with scars on her arm and a seizure, meaning this had to be from a different source than the Demon Radio that she normally listens to. Ethan's death must have been a part of a larger plan. And if you think about it, if Ethan would have died, Julie would have stayed at Colony House. Jim and Tabitha would have eventually lived separately, and Tabitha would have not have wanted to solve the mystery of where does the power come from because she got that idea from Jim. She would have not digged in the house to occupy her time, and she would have not ended up in the cave to see the cave painting that she tells Jade about later on in the series when he shows up and mentions to her the symbol and even shows it to her, which started both of them on the path that led them to the faraway tree at the end of season 3 where Jade is playing the violin. So even Jade, I mean, he wants to solve the mystery. He wanted to figure stuff out, but Jade would have been spinning his wheels if it weren't for Tabitha seeing the symbol on the cave painting that Jade never saw. But Jade did go down there and see the Ankui kids or the ghoulish children on the slabs of rock looking up at the symbol. Jade would have been spinning his wheels. He more than likely would have not gotten anywhere because Jade didn't get the idea to play the violin until Jim mentioned about the music notes. And Jim would have not been there to mention about the music notes if he and Tabitha would have been separated completely. He would have not been protective of Tabitha, wanting to kind of like be with her everywhere while she was doing this whole mystery thing. Had the house have not collapsed on top of her, had she have not dug in the first place, which the idea originally came from Jim. So if Sara would have been successful in taking out Ethan or killing the boy, then Tabitha and Jade would have never remembered who they come from, and we would have never have gotten them at the point where they even were in a position to remember who they come from. And it's more than likely that Tabitha would have seen the ghoulish children and just been freaked out and not really tried to go save them, because even wanting to save the children came from Victor telling her that his mom wanted to save the children from overhearing the boy in white tell Christopher that who is who Jade comes from. So it's one big circle, and that circle or that whole, all of that would have been eliminated had Sara killed the boy.
Interesting.
I think the ghoulish children would have been visiting Tabitha, but she would have not wanted to save them because she would have just been depressed because she lost both Thomas and Ethan. And then Julie would have probably never have talked to her again. And so she would have just been like an old lady living by herself, or maybe even in a different room than Jim, as opposed to living in the same bed together. So yeah, there it is. Seizure on the floor. And last time there was a seizure was when Ethan received information. And I think Sara got the same thing. And that's why she was really gung-ho about taking out Ethan, because during the seizure, that's when she more than likely was told that if she doesn't take out Ethan, her brother Nathan will be unalived. Victor gets a head start with digging graves because I think he knows that the last time 2 vehicles came into town like this, there was a whole bunch of bodies that were all on the street. I don't think Victor really knows that he more than likely was not just responsible in a way for his mother's death, but also the death of everybody in town. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section your thoughts. Thumbs up the video, share to your social media, subscribe, click notification bell. Thanks for watching. Go forth, do great things, and I'm out. Peace.